I'm gonna say it. Most folks may not say it, I'm gonna say it.
They want to beat you down and turn a screw in your back, and they want you to act like it's not there, and I won't do it for them.
Oh, nah, you're not gonna like what I'm about to say. I promise you that.
I talked to people that was in the room when Brett Favre went to the Hall of Fame, and nobody mentioned about text messages that he sent to that jet masseuse.
Stepping into this lane where you're trying to tell journalists like Malika Andrews and others how they're supposed to do their job.
Nobody mentioned anything about the addiction that he suffered from.
Proclaiming that they did it one way for somebody without doing it some way for another. The black athlete laments the fact that the slightest thing that happens, they're paraded all over the news and all over the airwaves without having all of the information available to you.
Can you imagine if T.O. would have had an incidents like Brett Favre off the field? T.O. still, to this day right now, would not be in the Hall of Fame.
It's not to say that Sports Center didn't touch it or whatever, but I certainly haven't heard too many people in the profession that I know of.
Mississippi is the poorest state in our country. So if they're the poorest state, Brett Favre is taken from the underserved. You made $100+ million in the NFL. And they're talking about what he didn't know.
That I have seen talking on a plethora of issues over the years.
Is this got serious?
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Stephen A. Smith, who was talking about the Brett Favre scandal.
It just ain't wise.
That nobody in the media was talking about. And he was lamenting how black people are always put in the forefront in the media whenever they mess up or run into the law. The only person at the time who was speaking about this Brett Favre scandal was Shannon Sharpe.
The problem that I have with this situation, you got to be a sorry mofo to steal from the lowest of the low. This is what Brett Favre texted. If you were to pay me, is there any way the media can find out where it came from and how much? So if you got to ask this question, is there any way the media can find out? You already know you're doing something wrong.
Now, why is this important? Because this man was talking about how he was ticked off on how black athletes are put in the forefront when it comes to the eyes of the media. But at the same time, this man was doing the same exact thing. Let me take you on a trip down memory lane. Remember Josh Gordon when he played for the Cleveland Browns? And do y'all remember the Colts owner, Jim Irsay? They had the same exact situation, one can argue. Both were caught in DUIs. Let's see how each individual was handled by Mr. Stephen A. Smith.
I'm done with Josh Gordon. I'm done with him. I hope that he resurrects himself and gets straight, but I harbor no sympathy for him whatsoever. And anybody who disagrees with me, tough, I'll get over it. There's a codeine test, you know, that he failed in 2013. You couldn't stay off the weed. Okay, at Baylor, and then afterwards,
at Utah.
Okay, and that's right, Utah, right?
Utah.
Okay, and so, and then now, I mean, before I was like, stay off the weed. Now it's DWI. I mean, damn.
Amazing. Look, this is the best way to put this, okay? The man clearly has an issue. On October 21st, 2013, when Irsay had tweeted he has not had a drink in more than 15 years. Well, I think that cat's out the bag. Clearly the man has an issue, probably needs some help, whether it's alcohol, it's prescription drugs, or whatever the case may be, and God bless him.
Is this got serious?
Two individuals who suffer from substance abuse, but one he is done with while the other he shows apathy for. Like, you can't make this up, ladies and gentlemen.
But wait! There's more!
Take a look at how he handles Kareem Hunt's domestic violence situation and Dana White's domestic violence situation.
Well, it's sad, number one. He deserved to be let go. It was a unanimous decision that he had to go, and he had to go immediately. And from my understanding, his career in Kansas City is over. Every single male on that video, every single one of them was trying to restrain him. He was pushing them off to get at the woman. He was pushing them off. As a matter of fact, one of the times when a woman went crashing into the wall before she went to the ground, it was because he took one of his boys, I believe that was the case, and shoved him into her, which forced her to crash into the wall and what have you. Once she crashes to the ground and what have you, the incident's supposed to be over, and then he comes back and kicks her. And so there's no excuse for it. It's indefensible. And what happened had to be done.
Now, he's not lying about what he said that happened in the video, but he definitely left a lot out. Number one, the woman was approaching Kareem Hunt, and when she got in his proximity, he he pushed her away. She actually walked back towards him and smacked him in the face. At that moment, his entourage held him back. Now, as the situation was de-escalated, she went back towards Kareem Hunt, who was clearly out of the video and was yelling whatever at him. And that's when he went to approach her and pushed his man that was in front of her to get to her, and unfortunately it knocked her to the ground unconscious, and yes, he did later kick her. But listen to Max Kellerman's approach on the situation.
What I notice is that Kareem Hunt took responsibility. Whether or not he means it, you don't know what's in someone's heart. You're caught on video doing this, you better not sound like you're doing one of these non-apology apologies to whomever I may have offended. You better apologize to the victim, to everybody. You take responsibility. You say, I lied. You say everyone else did the right thing. At least he got that message. You cannot force people. You don't know if he means it. You don't know. But you can try and determine if what you think of. But at least some player, if not players, have gotten the message. You better take responsibility.
And this is why T.O. said to Stephen A. Smith that time, Max Kellerman sounds more blacker than you do.
I mentioned, obviously, Max is going to get in here. And like I said, I'm in the streets. Max almost seems blacker than you, Stephen A. with what he's coming, with his commentary.
With all due respect, my brother.
I'm just saying, dog.
Notice how Max handled the situation. And I see that a lot when it comes to our white counterparts who are sports analysts. They seem to show more apathy than the Stephen A. Smiths of the world or the Malika Andrews of the world. They seem to have apathy for the athletes when they mess up. But the Stephen A. Smiths and Malika Andrews, they're the ones who have that vitriol. Let's look at how they break down Dana White's situation when his wife smacked him and then he smacked her repeatedly and chased her down.
What I didn't like about what Dana White did was how he was speaking about, okay, what would you have happen? What do you want me to do? I don't think that was the thing to say. That's number one. But number two, I want to get into this because this is First Take and we don't run from issues and we ain't about to start now. And people who have implied that somehow, some way we run from issues or we soft soak stuff, I don't think they know what the hell they're talking about.
You couldn't stay off the weed, okay, at Baylor, and then afterwards, at Utah. Okay, and that's right, Utah, right? Utah, okay. Yep. And so, and then now, I mean, before I was like, stay off the weed. Now it's DWI. I mean, damn.
Look, this is the best way to put this, okay? The man clearly has an issue. Probably needs some help, whether it's alcohol or prescription drugs or whatever the case may be. And God bless him.
Is this got serious?
Number one, I spoke to Dana White. Dana White knows exactly where I stand. He was wrong. You do not put your hands on a woman, period. Okay? I also said that Dana White deserves the same punishment he would hand down to one of his fighters. You see what I'm saying? Now, am I an advocate of cancer culture where you want him to lose his job? No, and I'm not apologizing for that.
Wait a minute.
Well, it's sad, number one. He deserved to be let go.
Wait a damn minute.
They shouldn't be looking at Molly and Stephen. Oh, your tenor, your tone, and it wasn't aggressive enough. What do you want me to say? All I could do is be honest and open about where we're coming.
So you can see there's a history of hypocrisy as far as how the black athletes are treated and the white counterparts. Now, fast forward to now. Von Miller was recently arrested for a domestic violence situation, and we all know what's going on with Josh Giddey, that none of these networks or primetime sports networks are reporting what's going on with Josh Giddey. They're not even mentioning it or bringing it up. Everything's hush-hush. And the media was calling out mainly Malika Andrews on it because she's always in the forefront to call out black athletes, but when it comes to white counterparts, you can hear a mouse fart in her presence. That prompted Stephen A. Smith to come to the defense of Malika Andrews with a weak defense, that I might add. So when news came out that Von Miller got arrested, he had a different approach on First Take on how he addressed it. I want you to hear the way they addressed it, and then I'll come back and give my final thoughts.
We don't know all the facts. We heard this report. Obviously, an arrest warrant being issued is a very, very serious matter. Without knowing anything, let's just make sure we make this general statement that everybody at this table will agree with. Keep your hands off women. Having said all of that, on a separate issue, there's something going on in the NBA with Josh Giddey. And what I've said and what numerous others have said is, we don't know all the facts. So if we have to take that position with him, with allegations of dealing with a minor, and we want to sit up there and say, wait until we have all the facts, same thing to Von Miller. But it does not look good for him to be in this situation. There is nothing good about this for him, nor the Bills, nor society as a whole with all the nonsense that we're having to deal with in this day and age.
Again, we don't have the facts. It's disturbing from off the field, but when you talk about, again, if you just keep it on the field, the Buffalo Bills and what they're trying to do in the state of their season.
Yeah, listen, I echo a lot of what Stephen A. said, first and foremost, with as far as keeping your hands to yourself. Like, come on, you shouldn't even have to be saying these things in this day and age. You would think, right, with all these type of incidences that keep happening, like, keep your damn hands to yourself. Number one, without we're so light on facts right now. You just gotta let the process play itself out. One of your quote unquote leaders is now caught up in a potential domestic violence situation. That is not where you want.
Which we all condemn.
Yeah,
realize the gravity of that.
It's just ridiculous.
My thoughts and hope and prayer is that the woman and the child are okay. That's where my mind immediately went to. And then, if the allegations become to be true, then the NFL is going to have to handle it the proper way.
As you listen to them, you could tell they pretty much have their mind made up and saying that the man is guilty. And it's cool to have your reservations of thinking, hey, this man may be guilty, but where the hypocrisy come into play is, where's that same vitriol for Josh Giddey? Because if you're saying all the facts ain't out, but you clearly hear everybody on the panel, they pretty much put in their guilty verdict. Because they're saying, don't put your hands on a woman and all of these things. And I get it. Don't put your hands on a woman. Now, Stephen A. Smith, he handled it properly and was like, yo, I can't really speak on it. And we don't have all the information. If we can have that approach with Josh Giddey, I got to have the same approach with Von Miller. But everybody else, they pretty much were, oh my God, I hope the woman and the child is safe or whatever. Nobody even thought to bring up about women that lie. Look at Javonte Davis. He actually had to lock himself in the bathroom to escape this woman. And then she later said she lied that he abused her because she was in her feelings. Ezekiel Elliott went through the same thing. His accuser said, oh, I'm going to end your football career, and made false accusations. So if you're going to say, let's wait for the facts to come out, you got to look at both sides of the spectrum. Look at Porter Jr. It was reported that he abused his girl, and then she later came out and said that these were all lies. It didn't happen. That's why you got to wait for all the facts to come out. But with that being said, they quickly seems as if they were looking to judge Von Miller, but didn't bring that same energy towards Josh Giddey. And can you blame them? Because they're running the plays out of Stephen A. Smith's playbook. I can also say Malika Andrews did the same thing. Because when you really sit down and focus and look at the history, how Stephen A. gets at black players and shows so much apathy towards the white counterparts and became very successful, why wouldn't people run the same plays from that playbook? So if we're gonna have that same vitriol for Malika Andrews, and I love Stephen A. Smith to death, but you gotta catch that same flack, that same heat as Malika Andrews. And how do I know she followed the teachings of this man? Because he came out and defended her. That's the reason why he came out and defended her, because she ran plays from his playbook. And like I said in the last video, if I gotta say that Malika Andrews is a coon and she's running his playbook, fortunately, Stephen A. Smith, I gotta say, you're a coon too. It is what it is. But you heard my talk on the situation. Yo, Jun, let me hear your talk on the situation.
Yo, y'all gonna hate me for this, but I cannot care that much because I gotta say it. Prior to hearing what WallzP just said, I was against Stephen A big time. I didn't agree with anything he said. I thought he was a puppet sent out just to cause hate amongst our community.
I know what they actually are doing, and it's to diminish the male image. And I just can't see anybody coming with some real proof to say otherwise.
I thought that's who he was.
Kwame Brown is gone. The City of Angels, Hollywood, just should be celebrated. Throw a parade already, whether you win a championship or not. This man was a bona fide scrub. He can't play.
Going to colleges talking negative about Kwame Brown.
For the longest, males have been invalidated. Nobody won't answer my question. Why was Stephen A, an NBA analyst at colleges and high schools? What was the big deal? What were they learning? What did he get paid to do?
The dude came straight out of high school and got his mama a crib. Made that bread, took them out the hood. And
you're talking about a man who took his family out of poverty. You're talking about a man that if you compare me to the average black man, it's not even close.
No disrespect whatsoever, but I'm sorry to tell everybody the truth.
That I had an issue with that. I always looked at Stephen A as a sellout. That type of person leave the door open so people could hate on us.
Sally Jenkins met me for maybe 2 hours and wrote an article as if I'm the dumbest guy in the world. When you can look up public records that I have a 3.0 GPA, you can hear the way I speak now, but because I know what I want to do and the way I want to do it, and somehow I'm a problem.
Couldn't stand that. But after listening to WallzP, I just hear it a little different. And I have to start off with, everybody should talk about the woman and the child. Like me as a father, and I'm not saying WallzP saying different to what I'm saying. I'm just saying me as a father of two, both times I went through a situation where I was scared that my wife could have lost her life, or we could have lost the child, or we could have lost both. So for me, I am worried about the child and the mother. I am. And so I can't just go past that. Gervonta Davis, like, hey.
Did you see Tank Davis hiding from a woman? And they called him a woman beater. What did we see with Brother Dana White? The media ain't talking about it in the same way.
To be honest, I don't think Tank would want anyone talking about it in the same way. Even though we men know we are stripped of our rights, we would be the first ones laughing at Tank if he was publicized the same way women are. Hiding from a woman? Come on. We wouldn't let that go. So therefore, nah, he shouldn't be publicized like that. His opponents would just use it against him. But come on, fellas, we know we don't need that same protection women need. What we need is when we call the cops, they need to come in the crib and remove her the same way they would have removed us. My boy, a military man, he was being abused by his wife while holding his child in his arms. He grabbed the pillow and hit her so he could get some separation from her. She grabbed the phone, called the cops. And when they got there, even though they agreed with him that he did the right thing and used the pillow, he would still have to be taken to jail. It was a Friday, so he spent 3 days in a cell. We don't have protection and we know that. That's why we gotta be the ones that call the cop as soon as things start going south.
So what I've been talking about on my platform is the complete disrespect, not only athletes, but black men as a whole. You're ruining these men names with these labels. And that's my point.
And we men and some women know that the trifling women are the ones ruining men's lives. But it would have been counterproductive to bring up women in their lives because there's a time and a place for all of that, and that was not the time. Malika Andrews had no right attacking Perk and Stephen A the way she did. But the fact that ESPN was under allegations that they was mistreating women's equality, Malika's situation meant nothing to them and they didn't suffer at all. So it didn't matter much to them. But to divert the attention away from Von Miller onto women that lie on men, someone would have lost their job. ESPN don't play that.
Why am I bringing this subject up? Because recently I had to address a subject involving Josh Giddey of the Oklahoma City Thunder of the National Basketball Association. So considering that and juxtaposing that to this story about Josh Giddey compared to Von Miller, I want to take a moment to explain to everyone the difference of why we, meaning people in the media, can discuss this matter and not the drama that is surrounding NBA player Josh Giddey. I showed him there. You saw his face. You see his face right now.
No, I sees nothing.
He's been accused of messing around with an underage girl. But in his case, ladies and gentlemen, there's an investigation. The NBA isn't talking. He's not talking. The Oklahoma City Thunder, the NBA team he plays for, is not talking. The family nor the girl he's alleged to be involved with are talking.
Stephen A, he told you, I'm not going to say something not because I didn't want to say something. I'm not going to say something about Von Miller Because why? Because y'all giving me hell.
So you see why we would be able to talk about that a bit more extensively than the conjecture that we would have to rely upon if we were talking about Josh Giddey?
And see, I got an issue with him. Even Stephen A. with what he did with Von Miller. He didn't say I'm not gonna say something because I don't wanna say something because I don't have the information. He said I'm not gonna say something because y'all been giving me hell for that. So what he's saying is I would have said something, but I had to check myself because y'all telling me to check myself. And y'all opinion matter. That's what we gotta understand. Our opinion matter. We can get them off of the shows. We can get people moved around. We can do that. But we're the ones still watching it, still giving them all that play, that airtime. But for them to sit there, who was that? Like Damien Woody? Like this dude just sat there and tried to bury him without even knowing the information, as if he got issues with Von Miller. Like you're just trying to really become famous that you don't know the situation and you're still going in on him. Like you didn't hear what Stephen A just said? We don't have the information. We didn't go in on Giddey, so let's not do that. But you felt like you need to still go in? Come on. He's the one I had issues with, big boy. Like he's the problem. It wasn't even the other dude talking about the woman and the child. Like that dude was right. But it's Woody, Damien Woody. He's the one that had that issue. The women, of course, they should feel sympathy because they know they may be pregnant too. And to get beat by a man who's just a man, come on. But him, come on. You had the nerves to do that? They try to flip that on us, and I have issues with that. I think that's crazy.
I don't care. I just want people to see the difference in how the media spin these narratives and destroy these men's name.
And with Stephen A, I don't really have issues with him like that anymore because he's doing what his boss told him to do. To me, he allegedly sold his soul. So therefore, he don't care about none of that. He already said he want to be famous. He want to have his own television show, the Stephen A show, but he don't want it on YouTube. He want it on television, worldwide, syndicated. So I don't blame him like that anymore. He explained why he had an issue with Josh Gordon. It's not because Josh Gordon did it the first time. The reason he really blamed Josh Gordon and not Jim Irsay is because first off, Josh Gordon is a player. That matters. To be a player, that matters. Like you're hurting the brand. Come on, you think Jim Irsay doing what he does really harms the brand? It doesn't. But if Josh Gordon is out here doing this and telling our sons like, yo, you can still do drugs, this and that, and you'll still make it, you'll still be at this level, that's terrible. But most of us won't be owners. Most of us won't own football teams. So therefore, it's not the same type of impact. It's not. It's completely different. It is. Dana White. If Dana White took steroids, would it be as bad as if one of his fighters took steroids? It wouldn't. So with Dana White hitting his wife, it's not going to harm UFC the same way it would, let's say, if John Jones was sitting here beating his wife. It'd be completely different. People will boycott UFC. They will boycott that fight because of the fighter. So it's completely different. Stephen A is saying, come on, Josh Gordon, you're a repetitive offender. Jim Irsay said he hasn't drank in 15 years. But Josh Gordon, every time you turn around, he's doing the same thing ever since college. Probably before college, high school, he probably was making the same mistakes. So that matter. We got to use that. We got to keep that. We can't just take it out of context. We got to keep it there. Josh Gordon is steadily messing up. Come on. So I understand what Stephen A is saying, and I don't like agreeing with this dude. I hate agreeing with this dude. It makes me feel like I'm selling out. Some people gonna be like, you are selling out. Possibly. But I'm selling out to the truth. Like, come on, Jim Irsay, you think it matters to us? Like, really? That he's out there on opioids, allegedly? He's out there getting saucy? It really mattered to us? A lot of us like, oh, if we had all that bread, we would do that too. So it's different. But if I'm an athlete, my body matter. I'm sitting here doing drugs. Come on. It doesn't make sense. So I understand what Stephen A is saying. I get it. But with the Von Miller, y'all just brought that up. Like, I get bringing up the woman and the child. Hey, I'm all for it. But sitting here, just making him seem like he's completely wrong. At least if y'all wanted to do that, bring up CTE. That could have softened the blow. That could have been like, yo, with CTE running wild out here, I just hope that's not the reason that could have happened. Like Jovan Bletcher, Kansas City, remember? He ended up harming his girlfriend, took her life, and then he ended up going to the facility and claiming his life. So CTE is real, and that could have been a possibility. But to just sit there and try to bury him without even knowing the facts? Come on. Like, I have an issue with that. That I have an issue with. I definitely have an issue with that. And let me just say this on Malika Andrews, because a commenter says something and I agree. Malika Andrews, not just because she's biracial, but she's not a black woman. So us holding her to that standard, come on, she's not a black woman. She was raised by a black man and a white woman. Therefore, she is not a black woman. Who's teaching her how to be a black woman? Like the black man, from my experience with black men who have white women, they typically try to get their daughters to be less black. Whatever they see in a black woman they think is negative, they're going to try to keep that out of their child, out of their daughter, where that may be the strength that that black woman has. So I just completely disagree with this whole thing. This video is great because it showed me a different perspective. And for some of y'all, it's going to show y'all the opposite, which is good. We shouldn't just be 100% one way. We need to be more balanced so we can see things. That's why I rock with WallzP. We both see things different, but at the same time, we see things the same, like where we can see both sides. So I dig it, but I know y'all gonna have an issue with it. And hey, you heard WallzP's talk, you heard my talk. So in the comment section, talk your talk. Watch 1, 2, 3, 4 of our videos. Hit that like button, that dislike, whatever. If you're into sports, if you really know sports, hit that subscribe button, because we do appreciate certain things y'all let us know. And we love the conversation. So we appreciate the view, and thank you for joining us.
Hey, that's that locker room talk right there.
This was locker room talk.
Hey, that's that locker room talk right there.
This was locker room talk.